Here's the first step of developing your photography paper at home. We gotta make the developer. First of all, you're gonna need baking soda, and if you notice, it has hundreds of uses. Even photography! The second thing you will need is some instant coffee. Doesn't have to be fancy. And those really are the essentials, but a nice extra is to have some vitamin C, because you can grind that up and add it to the developer, and it's going to help keep the light areas a little lighter in your prints. So those are the basics right there. Baking soda and instant coffee for sure, and ground vitamin C a little extra. It doesn't have to be ester C, that's just what I have. You know all those used plastic containers that don't have a lid anymore? The lid went somewhere else? You've got a use for them now! Anything that's big enough to fit the photo paper will do very nicely. I would just seriously get one of them for the developer and possibly another one for rinsing your photo, and you're good to go. All that's left is to use our handy dandy makeshift photo tray and make our developer. You'll need 8 ounces of water, 3 teaspoons of this baking soda, which we've cooked for an hour at 400 degrees. Okay. Now we want some fine instant coffee powder. I'm going to use twice as much of it, 6 teaspoons. And finally, this is not a necessity, but helps to keep the paper from fogging when you expose it to light. It's not as good as fixing, but you know, it helps. This is just ground up vitamin C. And again, that last one was not essential, just kind of a helpful mix. You would still get a developed image from just the baking soda and the coffee. Now when you mix your coffee and baking soda and water together, you're going to find that it is a little hard to mix in just the tray. So a pretty nice hack for that is just put it in an old glass jar or any kind of jar with a tight fitting lid and shake it up, and that'll get those little guys into solution a little better. I found that the chunks of vitamin C powder were especially problematic. So there. Alright, so we are ready to go. We've got our little safelight over here. I've taken a picture with my pinhole camera. One little trick that you might want to do if you're working at home is what I've actually done. This is a brand new camera that I just made. And so what I did was I took one picture with a 1 minute exposure, and I wrote 1 minute in pencil on the back of the paper on the base side, and I put that in a black paper bag. Then I went out, I reloaded it with another sheet of paper, and I took another picture for 30 seconds, so half the time. Wrote 30 seconds on the back in pencil, put it in the other bag. And finally I did one for 15 seconds, and so actually I have now put them all back into the camera just to bring in here, so I'm going to be able to develop them all at once. And since I've got them labeled on the back, I'll be able to tell which one was the most successful exposure for my camera. So that's a good way to kind of save your time as you are testing. it might be a little more economical paper-wise to just make a trial exposure of a minute, come in, development, and then, you know, if it's way too dark, go out and try for half the time. If it's way too light, go out and try for double the time. That would be our normal procedure, but we're handling awfully small pieces of paper, so that's a good way to kind of speed up the gratification factor, you know, of getting results you can see. So now I'm going to turn out the lights in the room, all but the safe light. Unfortunately, that doesn't record very well on the video, but we will see what we get. I have my photos here kind of balled up in a towel for the big reveal. Because they're going to start to fog because we don't have any fixer pretty much immediately once we start exposing them to light. And so what you want to do is have your phone ready to take a nice sharp clear picture of the image that you've created. And then you can slow down the fading process by storing them somewhere dark, maybe just interleaved in a journal. But to summarize, we went 2.5 minutes in the coffee, baking soda, vitamin C mix, and then I rinsed it for 30 seconds under just running water. And now I've kind of blotted it dry because when I take them out, I don't want to have water bubbles, water droplets reflecting in my pictures. So let's have a look at what we got. This is the 1 minute exposure. And so to take a picture, just try to get even illumination. This was a longer exposure, but the sun came out partway through, so it got brighter. You can see my ghost dogs in the picture too. So that one actually came out just as well as the one with the longer exposure, simply because of that sun coming out part way. You know, it brightened it up. So it would be better if you're really trying to test your pinhole camera, you know, when you're new to this, if you would have the sun cooperate and just stay the same way for, you know, and the same lighting situation for each photo that you take as you're trying to kind of figure out what the correct exposure is going to be for your actual pinhole camera.